Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, thanks for agreeing for this interview.
Where are you from? National Geographic, New York Times, People Magazine, Playboy, The Post, Mad Magazine, Screw Magazine.
I've always wanted to know more about you. I read so much and I admire your photographs and your videos. And I feel like I've known you all my life, but I want to shed some light on some little known things that maybe other people might not know. So thanks a lot. They did say we look alike, and it is amazingly so.
Well, I don't think we look anything like each other.
We do look alike. They said we did, but I can see the resemblance now.
Anyway, what questions are you asking me?
So let's start with your life, your photography, which is known around the world. Let's talk about that.
How did I get into photography? Well, photography chose me. Doing it since day one. I had not much else in the world to do. I was really an outcast and a misfit because of my health problems. So most people couldn't relate to me. So I just got involved in looking at photographs such as Life magazine, Look magazine, even the textbooks in school, and photos, great photos. And I would look at the image and try to guess which photographer took it. Go back to the end of the book where the index is, and I could see their names if I was right or wrong. I got to actually recognize the work of many master photographers, and that helped me immensely. All I ever wanted to be was a photographer. My first photo essay was actually in school in the 4th grade. I was asked by a classmate if I wanted to come back later and break into the school. And naturally I agreed because I'm all about trying new things and documenting it. It was very funny because I sat in the back of the class. I basically had no friends. Since I was a loner, but this fella came up to me and thought I might be able to go with him, and I did. So we went to the school. I took my Estamatic, and I took pictures of him turning over the tables and going through the desks and making a mess of the place. And the next day he didn't show up for school, but there was a custodian that saw us, and he lined up all the boys in the school, and he picked me out of the lineup, and I got expelled or suspended for the first time. It was a big problem because my mother was the principal's secretary, so it was kind of a problem. But after my suspension was over, they put me on the audiovisual squad, which is the group of kids that go around before the assembly and set up the projector. And that was great because I was all into film and audio and that kind of thing. And basically, it was a way to cut classes because if I wanted to avoid a class, I'll have them forge a note saying they needed me, and I would get out of that class. So I always had a dialogue with photography because you want to see things in a unique way. And at that time, it was purely black and white photography. I learned to develop when I was 9 years old. And it was great. I used to borrow my father's 35mm camera. I always worked on personal projects. That's really the defining factor of my life, no matter what situation I was in. Even if I had a job, why was I really there? To document it, or to show the world this job. As far back as I can remember, that's what I've done. I've gotten fired from many jobs because that was what I wanted to do. I worked for a photo lab, which was in the same building as Magnum on 46th Street in the 70s. And I used to develop my own film along with that of the great Magnum photographers. But the boss knew I was doing that and actually asked me to stop, but I didn't. And that must have been 1975, because I remember doing the pictures of Flip 1 at Dime 139, and I developed them there at Graffiti Photo Lab. Other jobs too. I wanted to become a police officer so I could photograph them from within. I actually took the test and passed, but I failed because of my hearing. My hearing is not up to stuff. I really need hearing aids in both ears. But that, along with a lot of the other health problems that I have, sleep apnea is the worst. Because all throughout school, in elementary school especially, I used to put my head down on the desk. I couldn't stay awake. I still have problems staying awake when I'm driving. Luckily, I'm alive. Well, I got something to get out before I die, so I know I have to stay alive until I accomplish what I really want to accomplish in this world, which is get a couple of photo books out so people know that I was here and what I did. In the 70s, I actually took a job, not because I cared for it or because I needed money. I took it so I could photograph somebody there, somebody who had his own department, and I got to do that for many years. You can see those pictures by going to the etching room. It's a very gritty series of photos in New York City. And when I had a show at the Newhouse Center for Contemporary Art in the year 2000, New York Magazine actually wrote a review of it. Just one of my photo essays, my most famous of course, is the work I did with graffiti artists. The way to get good pictures from the inside is to get access. So you photograph your friends, or you make them your friends, or you become one of them. That's what you do to get inside. You have to be like them. After I start taking pictures, so many pictures, people get bored and they just become themselves, and then I can really go to work. Graffiti is another thing I did very early on. I am in fact the link between Kilroy was here to the modern name-based graffiti writers. I might even be the first graffiti writer. I was thinking about writing my name on walls with my messages since the 4th grade, when I had a class on current events and they talked about Kilroy was here. This is something that I could do with just a marker. I could make a name for myself. I could be a presence on this world. And at that time, in the 60s, it was very important. Very important to be part of the 60s. Everything was changing, and I wanted to be part of it. By writing messages on walls, I would make people think. I would use a nice, clean, legible handwriting style, put my name, and then write a message. The name Flint, how did I get that? It's a given name, I gave it to myself. I was a big fan of James Bond movies since they first came out. Now everybody loves them. I was one of the original fans. 1962 it came out, 63, 64, 65, every year Sean Connery would make a hit. And they were like movies that showed somebody so cool, do what he wants, he could get away with anything, and that's how I wanted to be. couldn't figure out a way to write James Bond on a wall, but I did the next best thing, Flint, which came from the James Coburn movies, Our Man Flint, and like Flint. But the name Flint has followed me around even before that. I didn't really use the name Flint for myself in public life until I went to a sleepaway camp and everybody had nicknames. And what was mine? Mine was Flint. And after that I came back and I started to be proud of who I am and what I did. I felt special. So I started using that name in everyday life. At the High School of Art and Design, I was the first writer to tag that wall when I first went there in '71. I was already famous as Flint. Now I found out what other writers were there. And it was amazing. Tracy 168, Pistol 1, SJK, Fuzz. The Fuzz one that drew a face of his on the wall. The original Fuzz. And later Bomb 1, Shadow, Earl Shasta, Delta 2000. It was incredible that this school was a hotbed of graffiti writers. We used to just sit back at lunch, which could be all day at our table, our designated writers table, and just trade black books and tags and show each other our new art. Marvel Comics was also very big. That was something else. I collected all the titles since I found Daredevil #9 in the street in front of my house. Until then, I was just reading Batman and Superman. Once I found Marvel Comics, I discarded those. Those were not real anymore. Those were not good enough. Those showed me how to live my life. Just like several other movies. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid had a big impression on me and my friend. Came out in 1969, as did Easy Rider. Bonnie and Clyde was a masterpiece. Fantastic photography and film work. So I picked up things, especially when I was younger, because that's the impressionable years. And they stay with you all your life. I still think Daredevil's real, Spider-Man's real, and the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. Incredible things to believe in. I'm glad to see that James Bond is back on top again. We needed the realistic movies, something we could believe in, not campy, cartoon comedies. I hardly watched any of the Roger Moore movies at all. Now I do a lot of YouTube stuff myself, as cameras are easier to use. I have a very strong learning defect where I can't understand instructions and I can be too technical. So most of what I do is from an artistic nature. Graffiti, I started writing it on the trains, like the D train that took mostly business people, well-dressed people to Rockefeller Center, 50th Street, 42nd Street, back and forth. I really was never a king of the IRT. Spray paint came later, top to bottoms. Colorful masterpieces all came later. So I'm not saying I am a king of those things at all. I learned from my friends. I'm still learning. I'm really happy to see how graffiti has become a culture that's embraced by the whole world. Many people make much money off of graffiti. More power to them. I'm not so lucky, but I I do what I could do. Still believe in the power of photography, the power that photos can change the world. Documentaries tell great stories. People learn from them. We have to be very thankful that there are photographers in the world going out and unearthing all these stories. And the vocabulary of photography is exploding because today everybody's a photographer. I see great images that people take with their cell phone. The action cameras are showing us ways to see that never existed before. There's movies made with cell phones. It's really amazing. So if you live long enough, you'll see tremendous changes in the world, in technology, in society. But does mankind ever really change? Does history repeat itself? It does. Because there's still so many uneducated people out there. There's so many countries that will kill their brother because of they belong to a different religion. It's a funny place to live. Most writing happened maybe 69 to the 70s. That's when it blew up. That's where graffiti really started. But I was doing my thing before that, and I know for sure, because I look at the landmarks in my life. In 1966, I, along with my family, went cross-country on a 2-month vacation in a station wagon, camping out. And since I was such a loner, since I live in my mind, I really didn't participate in many family things. I just went around carving my name in trees, carving my name on picnic tables, writing my name with a marker in the bathroom, where is one of the first places that I saw graffiti, because I was a camper all my life, even as a child. And in the bathrooms there was always graffiti, mostly the type like, for a good time call this person, or so-and-so blows that person. Whatever it is, but that's the kind of graffiti was around in public bathrooms. I came along, I wanted to put my name in a saying to make you think, and 3 dots. Yeah, so Samo came along, people thought that was me. I give a lot of credit to Aldias, who was a friend of mine in school and a fan, for recognizing what I was doing and wanting to make it evolve, because my idea was the same as his idea. Make a name, nobody knows what it is. Flint, what is that? That's a product. Madison Avenue slogans is my thing. As I got to meet more and more graffiti artists, I wrote for them, for those who dare. That's for them. For ladies only, that's for them. Bad but not evil, that's for them. One day soon, the time will come. Not just the name. That's how I got to meet all my graffiti friends. Before that, I was writing things for the riders of the subway. It's a long history. Graffiti is amazing, but a lot of people don't want their dreams to be shattered. Nobody wants to hear that there was somebody writing graffiti in 1966. I'm very fortunate there was a fella, Reynolds, Robert Reynolds I think his name was, he was a photographer of graffiti. He made a book called Magic Symbols, came out in 1975, but he's got a lot of my sayings. He's got a lot of photographs of my writings. I tried to contact his son, because the fella himself is like 95 years old. I tried to contact his son, but I got no response. But I would love to see his body of work, because I know there's a lot of graffiti that would validate who I am and what I did.
I know you're a photographer and an artist, and now even a YouTube storyteller.
So nice to talk to you. Where'd you say you're from? The BBC?
It was a great honor, and I learned a lot.
Worldwide of sports.
And I wish you much luck and success in your future endeavors.
ABC News, eyewitness reports.
I love your comedy. It makes me laugh. One day I couldn't even stop laughing.
Thanks for interviewing me.
My wife had to comment, "What are you laughing about?" I said, "Oh, it's this guy Flint. He's incredible. He's so funny. He's like a real person."
Ciao.
Maybe next year we'll do a follow-up.
All around the city, I was writing my name. I went underground and I bombed on the trains. My folks thought I was nuts and I would get bust, but I knew that it was my ticket to fame. Couldn't catch me, cause I knew the game. You write big and bold, top to bottom your name. I live day to day, what can I say? I got back at the system cause they are insane. Steal me some paint, never was a saint. Get up, get down, go out, go round. What can I say? I live day to day, now I just want to get paid.